Austin, you and I are here in the River Cafe to talk about food, our memories, travel, and a lot more. But maybe we should just start with Australia.
I was in Australia for a year and a half filming. I was making Elvis with Baz Luhrmann.
Did he have food on set? Did you sit down to meals?
Yeah, well, we did this thing. I'm realizing it's a very European sort of thing where you have these rolling lunches, which basically means you don't have a lunch break. You eat while you're filming. And I actually kind of like it because it keeps momentum of filming. And so while we were filming, a lot of times it was just, I was eating it was like gasoline. I was eating for energy. And then when we wrapped, Baz and I were at his house, and there was a small group of us, and it was the night that we wrapped. It was the first time that he and I both sort of were able to go, we did it. We've been working on this I've been attached for about 2.5 years at that point, maybe 3 years. He'd been doing this for longer, 5 or 8 years or something. And we danced until the sun came up. We just,
Two of you.
Yeah, well, we had a little group there, but we just
Nice.
put on vinyl records and we just danced and we ate oysters and we just lived life. It was like this feeling of letting our hair down, and then the sun started to come up, and Baz looked out, and he lived across the street from the sea, and he said, "Should we go swim in the ocean right now?" And this is the night that we wrapped the film. And so we were like, yeah, let's do it. So we ran across the street and we jumped in the ocean. And it's like 5 a.m. now, and we swam in the ocean. And so the sun's rising, and I was gonna not go that night as well. And I said, Baz, I can't believe I was gonna go to sleep tonight. And he started singing Nessa Dorma to me. And he goes, no sleep tonight. No sleep tonight. And he starts singing this opera. And I hadn't really heard that song. And he was telling me the story of the opera. And then he said, I'll play it for you when we get back to the shore. And he went back to the shore. And I kind of took a second for myself in the ocean where it was just me. I just watched the sunrise, and I sort of processed all that we had done. And you don't know the final outcome of a film. You hope that you did everything you possibly could, and you gave every bit of your soul, but you don't know how it's going to be received. But at that moment, I just kind of processed all that we had, the work that we had done, and the joy and the love that we'd put into it. And I sort of had that moment. And then as I sort of slowly walked back to shore, I look at Baz, and he's holding a speaker above his head like John Cusack Can Say Anything. And he's playing Nessa Dorma, the Pavarotti version. Wow. And it's blaring at like 5:30 in the morning now on the beaches of the Gold Coast. It was so magical and cinematic. And then we made breakfast.
What was that?
We looked in the refrigerator and we thought, okay, what could we make? Because he and I both had been working so hard, and there's this thing about filming where there's so many responsibilities that other people end up almost treating you like you're a child in many areas. They walk you to the bathroom. If I say I'm going to go to the trailer, they walk me there to make sure I don't get lost. They treat you like you can't do anything, and they bring you your food, and so you're very spoiled in many ways. But there's something so relieving about that moment when you're finally able to do something for yourself. And so he and I, that was our moment. We opened the refrigerator and we saw that, okay, we got eggs, we got asparagus, we got some spinach there, we got some tomatoes, we got some Parmesan cheese. What can we do? And so we kind of just made this breakfast, and there's this loaf of bread. And so we cut off bits of this bread and we toasted it and just made this delicious meal. And that's one of the most glorious memories of my life, was like after we finished this thing that was so terrifying and daunting, and that we gave it everything we could. And then we just sat there, and as the morning sun sort of laid down on us, and ate that breakfast, and it was so glorious.
It's about memory, isn't it? It's about the time. And what about Tarantino?
Oh,
Was he interested in food?
Yeah.
Does he like food?
Remember one night we were doing night shoots, and it was about 3 a.m. He had this amazing crepe maker come and make crepes. And we were eating these amazing crepes, and he said, Austin, my thing is, I want to give everybody such a good experience on this job that their next job sucks. And it was such a wonderful thing. So every night there would be some new food thing that he would organize. So you just had this thing to look forward to, And the other thing that he did was after every 100 rolls of film, which, believe it or not, this was the first time I had shot anything on film. Because everything since I grew up was on digital, essentially, with every person that I'd worked with. And so that was really special, just hearing the sound of the film going through the camera when you're sitting in the car. But every 100 rolls of film, he'd throw a party. And it would have a theme, so he'd have, grappa would come out, and so everybody, and they'd be singing these songs, or margaritas would come out, and he'd have a mariachi band, or so every 100 rolls, whether it be 10 in the morning or 3 in the morning, it was something to look forward to.
By yourself. You once told me that you chose a house in Los Angeles because it had a pizza oven.
Oh, that was
What
great.
was that like?
Yeah, there's this beautiful house that had belonged to Gary Oldman before, and he had built a pizza oven. And I became obsessed with learning how to make the perfect fire in this pizza oven, the specific type of wood, and exactly how to lay it. And I got one of those laser temperature gauges so I could make it 1,000 degrees, and learned how to make the pizza sauce and the dough and everything. And it was actually Christmas that I made the most pizzas, I think. And the first couple kind of came out rough, and then I started to get really into the zone of it, and it was amazing to me how fast you could cook a pizza.
Yeah, in that heat.
In that heat, 30 seconds or 45 seconds, you could cook a whole pizza. Yeah, so I cooked pizzas for my whole family, and it was such a great experience just getting to feed them, and the special thing of all kind of being around the fire, and we had this table out there, and it sort of looked like the secret garden as well in this backyard, and cooked all these pizzas, and then I started getting into other things. I thought, what else can I cook in this fire? And there's a restaurant in LA called Pache that is in Laurel Canyon that makes this salmon on a cedar plank. And so I thought, I want to learn how to make that. And so I ended up getting these cedar planks and soaking them in water and putting the salmon on top and seasoning it and sticking it in the wood fire.
Did you put it in the wood oven?
It came out so incredibly.
This is something solitary.
It becomes my love language in a way. I cook so much for the people around me. I'll look into their eyes when they're eating it and try to see if they love it as much as they say they do. And I'll try to figure out ways of making it better. And
it sounds, the way you're talking about it, like a performance.
yeah.
Do you think there are parallels between acting or performing or singing and cooking, looking into people's eyes and seeing how they are responding to your performance?
Absolutely.
When you lived